The United Nations mission in Mali says that 4 peacekeepers have been killed and several others injured in an attack on its base in the northern town of Aguelhok. Peacekeepers repelled the attack on the camp, which the UN says was carried out by several heavily armed terrorists. Helicopters have been dispatched to the scene to evacuate the wounded. The UN mission in Mali, known as MINUSMA, has deployed over 13,000 troops to contain violence by armed groups in the north and centre of the country. It's recorded about 230 fatalities since 2013, which makes this the deadliest of the UN's more than a dozen peacekeeping missions. Militants linked to Al-Qaeda have stepped up activity in Africa's Sahel region in recent years, displacing thousands of people. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for Friday's attack. And in a separate attack, a military post in central Mali on Friday, 2 Malian soldiers were killed and 10 others wounded. Niger's newly elected President Mohamed Bazoum has been sworn in. The democratic watershed was overshadowed, though, by an alleged coup bid just 2 days ago. In the early hours of Wednesday, gunfire broke out around the presidential palace in the capital, Niamey. The alleged coup leader is an Air Force officer in charge of security at Niamey's air base and is being sought. The inauguration on Friday marks the first ever transition between elected presidents in Niger's 6 decades of independence from France, a historic moment that's been widely praised. Bazoum's victory, announced on February the 23rd, was disputed, though, by his opponent, former President Mahaman Ousmane. The inauguration marks the first democratic transition of power in a country that's witnessed 4 military coups since independence from France in 1960. Marred by terror attacks in recent years, Niger's new president has vowed to pursue counter-terrorism efforts. Kassoum Coulibaly is a Mali-based rights activist and social entrepreneur. He joins us now to help us understand a little bit more about Niger's politics.
Hi.
Welcome to you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us, Kassoum.
Thank you, brother. How are you?
Yeah, we're not too bad, but I guess it's an historic day for the people of Niger.
Yes, of course. This is an historical day for Niger people because, as you said, the first time there is a democratic transition between a past president and a new president in that country who had 4 coups like Mali. So it should be a good day, but 2 days ago there is a missed coup again in that country, and we are sad about the situation where more than 200 people have been killed those last 2 months in the country.
All right, we'll talk about the coup a little bit more just now, but how are people feeling today? What's the general mood? What's been the chatter on social media, for example?
The general feeling of the people is the people are all afraid because the capital city Niamey is like closed by militaries and police people who are putting security in a high level, and people are not happy, comfortable in that situation where they seems to be happy during the elections. And what's other situation we can notice is about the opposition parties, are trying to contest again this election of a new president, Mohamed Bazoum, and they are still continue to reject the election, that has been agreed by the Constitutional Council. So we are in a situation where we are afraid that what will happen in the next days when the new president will continue to form his cabinet.
What did the president say today?
Today's his speech was very centered in the security aspect of his mandate. You know that Niger is bordered to Mali, and the 3 borders, Mali, Burkina Faso, as the fire space where jihadists and terrorists are killing a lot militaries and civilians in that Sahel region. And all of the speech of the president was centered in the security aspect and also on Mali. You know that the president said that the situation in Mali is affecting the country as bad as it can, but no jihadist has alleged some issue about the country itself. But they will want to focus on the resolution of the conflict in Mali, and so that the country in Niger can be in a positive situation.
Did he give any indication of what he's going to do differently that his predecessors failed to do, it seems?
I cannot say exactly where he can say something differently or do something differently. We are in a position in the G5 countries, G5 Sahel countries now. They are trying to work together with the international community like France, like the US, like United Nations to see how they can contribute to reinforce the military armies and how to contribute to work together and to push away the jihadists in that region. Remember that 1 week or 2 weeks before, a kind of a number of militaries from Chad came in that space to contribute to secure the population and to fight against terrorists. I think that we will still in the same strategy, the same military strategy, but what I think they should do is to contribute to the economic development of all Sahel regions so that we can reject the young people who are trying to join these jihadist troops to fight against militaries and civilians. I think that this is the strategic position all government can take from now on, and to bring peace and development as a nexus to stop this jihadist fight in the region.
All right, so apart from internal and regional security, what else is on the new president's desk that he has to deal with urgently?
I think that the most urgent thing against is the national reconciliation. You see, during this last election, there is a very, very big divide between the ruling party and its allies with the opposition party. So the country is now divided in two parts. And it can bring some kind of civilian war. I don't know exactly, but the country is in a position the president must work hard to have a national reconciliation process and to bring internal peace. You see that the president is coming from a minority ethnic group in the north, from the north part of Niger, and I think that there is an issue in that about his nationality and some things like that. So I think that we need to bring a peace, internal peace and reconciliation process, so that all Nigerian people can come on board and discuss to have stability and to work with the president to fight against jihadists, so that we can have a sustainable development in the country, but also in Sahel region.
Having been anointed by his predecessor, Mahamadou Issoufou, can Mr. Bazoum be his own man, or do you think the shadow of the former president might still loom large?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that Mr. Bazoum is working with the former president for more than 30 years. And I think that this is something very important because of experience. He has been a Minister of Interior, of Foreign Affairs. So he knows very well the country and the relation between the country and over country in Africa and outside Africa. I think that the President Mahamadou Issoufou will continue to support him and to see how they can work together before 1 or 2 years, so that he can lead the country easily, because the situation is very, very complicated now, and I think that he cannot leave the new president alone and on the board. So I think that this can be a collegial work together with the past and the new president.
Sadly, your country has a long history dealing with coups. We saw this alleged attempt 2 days ago. Is there a likelihood that he has to be careful, especially in terms of elements within the military perhaps not being as faithful to the presidency as they ought to be?
Some people in the country says that this situation is not a coup. Some people say that is something, bring by the government itself, so that to arrest and to condemn opposition parties and allies people. So we are in a situation where we don't know exactly what are the position of our military. But I think that in the situation, for me, there is a normal situation, and the military people are continue to support the past president and the new president. And I think that there is no more coup that can happen. That's why I said that recently we need to begin a peace and reconciliation process inside the country, so to avoid this kind of coup that can destroy all the process of sustainable development made by the past president Mahamadou Issoufou during the 10 past years.
So what's the state of play in terms of the opposition parties? They're still unhappy with the results, but is there anything they can actually do about it?
For me, honestly speaking, there is no way at the legal aspects of this election anymore, because the president has taken power today. Maybe they will still protesting in the cities and in the rural areas. But I find that definitely the other countries in Sahel region and ECOWAS or West African Economic region can bring on board, and with the support of the AU also, to see how they can have a conciliation, a mediation between the two parties. I find that this is very important at that level. We cannot let the situation to be more fired, and we need to see how we can bring people on board, maybe to share the power between the ruling party and the opposition parties, to see how we can run together this transition period where we don't need any coup in the region, and we need stability and peace for all countries. So for me, the other West African and African regional bodies can come on board as soon as possible to make a kind of mediation like on other countries in Africa.
We know what the official results tell us, but from your estimation and understanding of politics on the ground, just how much support do the opposition enjoy? Because that gives us an indication of just how difficult the job the president has. Really, the job of president in Africa are very, very hard and difficult. When we come to the Sahel region, it's become more and more complicated. And I think that in that situation, for me, we need to wait and to see it, to let the president do his work. In 5 years later, we will see what's happened. If the people are not happy with his governance and his results, they can come and take the power. I think that this is a situation we need to see. But this next 5 years will be very difficult with the president, because the opposition will be very hard. And in my understanding on that situation, when the opposition in the country like Niger begins, it will be very hard, because I remember when I was living in Niger in 2009, where the former President Mamadou Tanja tried to postpone his term. There is a very, very hard opposition. I know that Nigerian people are fighters, and they will let the president work easily. So these 5 years will be very complicated. I cannot promise a peaceful time, but the president have to work two times for security against the terrorists, but also to bring security against the political parties. All right, so President Bazoum has been in politics and in government many, many years, so he comes with lots of experience. But what would you say are perhaps his top skills? What will he be good at as he comes into this job?
I can say the President Bazoum knows all the political situation, all the parts of the countries, because he's been in politics for more than 30 years in the country. So he's someone who knows the governance system of the country. So this is something very important. By training, he's a philosopher. He knows politics very well. This is the only job he has done during his experience in life. So for me, he knows the military and security aspects of the countries, but he knows also the general governance. He knows the diplomatic aspect of the countries. I know that he has the background, the skills, and the experience to run the country in a normal situation. But we are not in a more normal situation. We are in a conflict in this zone, this region. We are in a situation where there is a contestation of his election, and we are in a situation where we are in a poor poverty situation. This is again added to the climate change situation again, and a lot of young people who are waiting for jobs and so on and so on. I find that there is a lot of challenge facing him. And if he has a good government and cabinet members, and also if we have a peaceful opposition, I find that he can be able to do his work very easily. But if those conditions are not really put in place, I am not sure he will succeed very well.